Welcome to The Lifestyle CEO, a community designed for women looking to take their life into their own hands and redefine what success looks like for them.
I'm Katie, a clinical psychologist and couples therapist. I'm passionate about connecting you with the tools you need to create the life and relationship you want.
And I'm Christina, a marketing and business expert who has built her life around giving herself and those around her the ability to choose what their lifestyle looks like for them.
Together, we have created the podcast for women just like us who are looking to redefine what success looks like for them and enjoy a lifestyle that they love.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Finding these chairs really fun to sit on.
Yeah, I'm actually finding like my legs are really long compared to yours. I'm like, if I put it up here, is it like too high? So we're sitting on bar stools in Christina's kitchen for the audio listeners, and we are very different heights.
Very different heights. Katie's the one I go to reach high things in my cupboard because the cupboards are very high as well. But we are in the middle of a bit of a house reno, I guess you'd say. I mean, not by choice, to be honest. It was more that all my ceilings fell down because of barley building, barley rainy season. And then we just thought we'll just get it all done at the same time. So that's meant that our usual recording spot is currently covered in dust and stuff. So here we are.
It's all about flexibility.
It's all about flexibility, as we know, including recording this podcast.
Exactly.
Which actually brings us nicely onto I think, sorry. I always do that.
I know.
Sorry.
Okay. So how do we segue? Let's just segue by saying.
I think you say, I was thinking about that the other day and then go into it. Okay. Obviously flexibility being a key thing, and I think it's tricky sometimes, but you kind of have to get on with it, don't you?
And adapt. And I was thinking about that actually. Remember when we caught up last week when we did our other podcast, we had our podcast meeting, and you chipped a nail? So it was a crisis.
Always.
Let me tell you. No, it's just joking.
I don't have nails on anymore.
No, you don't. But you had chipped a nail, and we were sort of in that space. We were just trying to squeeze so much in. So I had left my mic somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, not left it. I put it somewhere safely because we'd been away, and I hadn't collected it.
Yeah.
And so I needed to get my mic to my house, and then we're going to go from where we were at the cafe to my house to your house.
Yeah.
And then we were trying to coordinate, squeezing in about 10 other things, before, this is about a 30-minute window. And it takes literally about 30 minutes to get to a house.
God.
So then we just decided, we just need to postpone an hour because we're all so hungry and we're trying to order food to get there at the right time. There's just so much going on. So I'm sure everyone listening to this can relate. It may not be a nail, but it's that thing that you try and squeeze.
Yeah.
And I know we both do this all the time.
We do. I think it's a woman thing as well, isn't it?
It is a woman thing.
I feel like we're trying to be as productive as possible.
Yes.
But actually the things that we're choosing to try and squeeze in aren't actually productive. It's just I definitely know I feel like this, us nailing point, is if I have 5 minutes or even a 10-20 minute window, I'm like, right, what can I do in this window? It's wasted time otherwise. And it's actually it's probably not wasted time, is it? It's normal.
No.
But I'm like, right, well, I've got a million things on my to-do list, and actually I need to be able to chip them in and wherever I can. But actually when you look at what you're doing in that spare time, it's the most ridiculous things that don't really need doing anyway. Hence why I no longer wear nails, because I'm just it's just such a waste of time. And I just think, obviously that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's just the busyness that we are obsessed with is sort of what is the point of that? Mm-hmm. And why do we do that?
Yeah, because we think we're being effective and we're not. It's kind of like multitasking, right?
Yes.
So when we're trying to do 20 different things at once, and I dare say women do this more. I'm not 100% on the research on that, but I think it would probably be there. But anecdotally, I think we can all agree that we all multitask. And one of the things that research does show is that multitasking is actually totally ineffective. So we have this idea that we can fit more in if we try and do more things at once. But the reality is that it's actually not true. And I know I struggle with that. So I know that, right? I know that there's evidence to prove that. But I'm like, no, that's not true. I even
you still trying to do it?
I'm still trying to do it. I'm always doing it. And I was recording a program, actually a mindfulness program, which draws on a type of therapy called dialectic behaviour therapy, DBT. And so there's 3 key mindfulness skills in that, and one of them is the how skill. And it's about being one mindfully living your life, which is all about the opposite of multitasking. And so as part of that program, I obviously had to give an example because it's you want to give someone a practical example so it makes sense to them. So in that, I had this practical example where you had to write out kind of like a sentence, and then so you'd write the sentence out like 10 times the first go. And then the second go, you'd write the sentence, start again. You'd write the sentence out the first go, and then you'd write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 down the bottom.
Right.
The second turn, you'd time it to see how long it takes, and then the second time when you time it, you want to write 1, the first sentence, 2, second sentence, 2, And so honestly, like everything I do, anything that I do in therapy, anything that I use online, I always do it myself.
Yeah.
Like, if it's relationship stuff, me and Andy do it. Yeah. But I always do it myself. So I wanted to do this a few times. So I'm like, okay, I want to see this actually
what happens.
And it did. So like I kind of knew intellectually, but for me personally, I know that I struggle with the multitasking. Yeah. And it definitely is more effective to do it one by one. Yeah. And
so
it's
the first option.
The second option. So because what we're trying to do is we're basically trying to like hold 2 tasks in mind. So just say, we all have on our computer. And you have like, I don't know about you, but I always have like 20 tabs open and then times that by 5 different windows.
Yeah, and the emails.
and then the apps and then all the things happening. And so sometimes I'll like open that one thing and I'll open it up. So say for example, I go to Trello and I'll open it up and I'll be going there for one thing and then I'll see a message from you on our Trello board and I'll be like, I'll quickly do that and then I'll jump over there and then I'll go back to my original thing. And then when I go back to my original thing, I figure something else out. So I go over there and I'm doing all these things, but it's like, no, if I actually just focused on my one task and didn't even open up, like just ignored your notification, I would be more efficient and effective.
100%. And I notice this a lot. Like my brain is like, it's just programmed to find the most efficient route. Yeah. So even if I'm doing stuff around the house, I'll be like, well, I need to do that first because that will be the most efficient before I come downstairs. And then I need to do that. And it's just like the amount of time I spend calculating how and what order I should be doing.
Oh my gosh! I'm not alone.
And then it's like, well, I could have done about 18 tasks in the time I've been mentally calculating what I should be doing and in what order, and it's also exhausting to live like that.
Oh my gosh, it's so exhausting.
And it's the simplest stuff. It's like, oh well, I should bring the children's clothes downstairs before I come down. But then I'm like, but no, maybe I should start cooking their breakfast first so that can be going to do it while I'm doing. And it's just like, oh my god, and there's no right or wrong answer, but it's like I'm in a game with myself. Yes. I'm like, how can I get this most efficient?
We have kindred spirits. I feel like maybe everyone's feeling the same way listening to this because hearing that, I'm like, that is so me. Like, I waste so much time
like thinking about trying to be efficient. And it's just so silly. And I think it's like...
But it's not. Like, there's something in the way that we're just so programmed, aren't we, to be thinking, like, it's almost like we're a bit hypervigilant for effectiveness and constantly trying to squeeze in as much as we possibly can. Yeah. And as you said, it's even in the basic tasks. Yeah. Like, carrying something downstairs. I do the same thing. I'm like, oh, okay, I need to go downstairs, so I should go to this room and get this thing and this thing and this thing. And then when I go downstairs and I get that thing, I should bring this thing and this thing and this thing.
It's exhausting.
Oh, it is.
And I think, like, I worry because I think it's going to make my children, like, anxious or something because I'm constantly, like, on the go. And I feel like this need to be rushing or this need to be constantly, like, efficient is actually a really... Like, it's not a great thing to be having.
Inefficient.
It's quite inefficient and it's quite anxiety inducing. Like,
it is.
I struggle now to really rest or to be non-productive. But I want to be able to have that time to be not productive, but it's not productive because it's spending time with my children or whatever. But it's like, even with stuff like that, you're like, oh, well, we can be, filling our time with something else productive. I don't know. And it's like, actually those moments of just being fully present. It's like play, isn't it? It's like being playful, and it's so important. And actually, I find like say you're on a holiday or you've taken yourself away from the day-to-day necessities of life, that's when you feel able to rest and release and play and be present. And then you come back so much happier, so much more creative, so much more like, I guess, just your brain feels a bit lighter, right? So it's sort of like, we need to make space for that more in life, surely.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think there's two things there, isn't there? There's sort of like changing the narrative that we have around multitasking and effectiveness, and doing things more mindfully, so doing things one at a time. And then also the second thing is like that we don't need to be in task mode all the time. That we actually need to create space for play and creativity. And, you know, we talked about previously also that it's also in a work sense. So, like, we need that play creativity space, which is separate, but in a work sense, we also just need, actually, not even just a work sense, in a life sense, we need space to reflect.
We do.
You know, and so when we are constantly, like, filling out our schedule and trying to be so effective instead of just taking that 5 minutes to just think, or just be, you know, or just have that time to like kind of process that meeting that we just came out of or whatever just happened in our own lives emotionally, to sit with that emotion before we move on to the next thing.
And I love this, right? I was talking to one of my clients about this the other day because I was saying like, from the world I'm in, which is like agency life, it's like deadlines and client expectations, and like the more efficient you are, the better your day is. And it's like, we were brought up in this culture of like, you know, if you're staying late, you're the winner. And if you've got loads to do, you're the winner. And if you're getting through loads of work, and it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. And like, that leads to this environment where you're making mistakes, you're rushing, you're not thinking strategically. And actually, like, I was talking to one of my clients about this the other day, because I was like, but you need to realize, like, not every minute allocated needs to be productive. Like, actually, the more strategic you are, the more time you need to give yourself to think and not feel like that time needs to be efficient. And actually, the more you allow yourself to do that, the better your results are in the end, because you've really done some research. You've really thought about a client project. You've really thought about, you know, whatever it is the project is, and giving yourself time to execute it properly, rather than being like, okay, we've got to get all of this done. And it's like, same for, you know, we were doing the Halloween costumes with the kids. And again, it could have, this is obviously not the same as working, but it's like just taking the time to do stuff like that rather than, you know, rush out to get a Halloween costume because it was like another tick on the list. Like actually enjoying thinking about it. We planned it for ages and thinking about it and making it together. And again, the result was just so much more fulfilling because you've taken that time to think about it. And I think it relates to any kind of part of life. If you really just give yourself some time to do it, then you'll end up happier with the result in the end.
Absolutely, because you are present in the process is what you're talking about. When you're not present in that process, like you're not actually experiencing the joy. I think it's just like another thing you've done. You ticked it off and you move forward to the next thing. But you're not actually sitting in that joy, like as you said, with your kids. Yeah, absolutely.
And I love that actually, because I think we think this to-do list that we put in front of ourselves is leading us to something where we're going to feel fulfilled or happy or whatever we're looking for. But you kind of look back, like I was saying this the other day about the last couple of years where I have just been in this sort of cycle of like tick, 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 tick. And I'm like, what have I actually got to show for that? Like I've not like moved forward much, but actually when I think about the moments where I did just sit with it and be present, and like they're the memories that I remember from the last 2 years. And it's like, actually what's on our to-do list, we really need to think about, because I think there is this problem with busy for busy's sake. And like, oh, you know, we all say it to ourselves, oh, I'm so busy. Like, oh God, yeah, so tired. It's just like, it's like a badge of honor we're wearing. It's so annoying.
It's part of our society, isn't it? Yeah, it's really ingrained.
And I think we really need to take a look at that and think, is that actually what success looks like to us? Like, we're super busy. But also, I think, you know,
I think you raised some really good points there. Like, when you're talking about that to-do list, like, I think that we get so stuck in that cycle, don't we, of like just focusing on like tick, 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 tick. And what you're talking about is really like, it's not about the end. Like there isn't actually an end, you know. So the to-do list will literally
never finish.
Never end.
Yeah.
So if you're so focused on, I'm going to feel happy when all of this is achieved, I'm going to be, you know, feel complete when I've done this. I'm going to feel successful when I have. Like, it's about the, you know, I know the journey word can be used, overused, but it is about, it's not about the journey, it's actually about your life. Your life is the journey. It's actually about living and being present in that moment, and because that is what you're trying to achieve. Like, you're trying to achieve joy in your everyday, or you're trying to achieve that sense of accomplishment in your everyday, or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. But it's not something that we want to wait a month for. It's something we want to feel in our everyday life.
Yeah, I really like that actually, because I do think we focus a lot on the goal rather than what's getting there. But as you say, like, by the time you've actually achieved whatever this goal is, you kind of miss the point of it, because it is way more enjoyable, the journey of it, rather than the end point. And I think we're just constantly it's almost like we have this idea of this magical end point. Like this kingdom that we're going to. Like, where are we off to, guys?
Either one, it's kind of like one little moment in time when we tick that last box, which is, you know, like, what, are we waiting a month to have that 1 hour window to enjoy? Or like that idea that, which is totally unrealistic, then when we reach a certain point, our life just becomes magical.
So like, but it's probably quite magical right now.
Exactly. But it's like this idea that, like, once I achieve this, and this, and this, then my life moving forward, it's the fairy tale, isn't it?
Yeah.
My life moving forward, the happy ending is now. Like, it's sort of this idea that once we get there, everything magically becomes beautiful and amazing, and we won't have relationship issues,
and no money
issues, or we won't have people become sick in our life, or things happen, and that's just not reality.
No, and it's always going to have things like that. And I think it's so interesting. I do think people are really focused on finding this. I mean, I know I am, this end point, and I don't even know what that end point is. It's just like I'm sort of striving towards something that doesn't really exist. But actually, the moments where you do stop and think, okay, wow, I'm actually loving life. And it is, of course, it takes some aligned action to, like, take steps towards the life you want, you know? It's like when we chose to move to Bali, of course we had to make steps to get there, but actually enjoying the journey while we were getting there, rather than just being like, right, I'm in Bali now, great, we're done. And it's sort of like actually the process of moving here and finding the house, finding the school, like all of those tiny little moments were so enjoyable as well. And I loved it when I first got to Bali, because I was so present, because it is just, I mean, maybe Bali's like the magical kingdom we all thought existed, but it's like, I was so present, I was so excited, because it was a big goal ticked up, okay? So, but I think using that as an example, actually you can find those moments in every day where you can be proud and present and happy.
I think too, something that I've learned being here that translates back to everywhere, wherever you live, is that sometimes here there's certain things that kind of force you to be present. So, for example, like whether you are driving or whether you're a passenger. Like, so if you, so say for example, in Bali, a lot of people ride bikes. I don't, because I'm too scared. But I go on the back of one. And so when I'm on the back of a bike, there's not really anything you can do besides listen to music or just like, you know, just be really present. So I love that. So that's one of the reasons why I decided not to ride a bike. It's like I can just sit back and be present.
That is so
And you have to get around. So you're doing that quite often. And the other thing is, even if you are driving, is that it is so busy and so hectic and so full on that you also need to be really present. So I think there's things sometimes in your life that force you to be more present in a moment. And maybe that can be as simple as like literally removing all the distractions. So like not having the phone or like TV. You know, and I think sometimes like it can be really hard to find that space in your workplace or in your home where there's distractions. So, you know, even if it's just like, if you live by nature, going out, leaving the phone at home and just like sitting on the beach for like 20 minutes.
And actually there's one that people talk about like in the shower, like actually having like a mindful shower. Obviously you don't have your phone in the shower, and it's like, and I do find them quite meditative. If I can have like an everything shower, not even that, just you know, it is just 5 minutes of just pure meditative thinking, right? You don't really have much else to do in there, and it is very relaxing. Or a bath, but then I tend to watch that.
And I think it's really is like, the action that we need to take in our lives is just to create those spaces where that mindfulness is built in, because I think the reality is like we all get stuck back into the busyness of life, we get stuck back into the to-do list. And so it's first just like creating those spaces that force us to be a little bit more present.
Yeah, then it's like, but then does that make mindfulness another thing on our to-do list?
No, but that's what I'm saying is like, like for sure you can go and like do a mindfulness activity, or you can do meditation, or you can do those things. That they're amazing. Don't get me wrong. You can do that. Fantastic. But I guess what I'm more trying to say is that like not everyone can find those spaces like where they're at right now. So where they're sitting at right now, where their head is so overwhelmed, where they're feeling like there's just not 5 minutes of my day to do that. Like choose things that you already do. So choose things like whether it's the shower, or whether it's, you know, maybe getting out of the car 5 minutes, parking somewhere 5 minutes away from work and walking that last 5 minutes, or whatever it is that you can just build into the everyday. That's not adding like a big number on your list, because then that forces you to be present, and then just reminds you a little bit about the importance of that. And then to, like it is trying to unlearn some of these ideas that we have around effectiveness, because I think we do live in a society where there are so many messages about high productivity and you need to do this, that, etc. You need to achieve this to be successful. This is what success looks like. So it is trying to shift that, and trying to shift the way that you approach like the day-to-day tasks, as we talked about, the to-do list, but also your ideas around the end goal and how you enjoy that process.
Definitely. Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm going to really try that, I think there's
too.
Yeah, no, I really need to.
I get caught in it too, we all do.
And it's this time of year, everyone gets, obviously Christmas, if you're a mum especially, it can become very overwhelming, but it's like everyone's very focused on ending the year on a high and starting the next year with success, and it can become super overwhelming.
Great discussion, I really loved it, and I think, you know, even for myself, like it's just such an important reminder to be more present and to shift the way that we view not only the to-do list, but, you know, how we want to work towards our goals.
Yeah, for sure. Great episode. Thank you.
See you next
time. Bye guys.
You're ready to create a life on your terms. Join us every week and make sure to like and subscribe to keep up to date with new episodes. All the links to keep in touch with us are in the bio.